Have you ever had a dream that felt more like a message? I find it interesting that some dreams don't fade when you wake up. They follow you like a whisper. Lately, I've been having dreams about my dad. He passed almost 2 years ago. Now, truthfully, we weren't that close, but there was a deep respect there, a quiet reverence between us that didn't need a lot of words. And when he passed, it left a subtle ache, not loud, but present. This void lingered in the spaces between my responsibilities and my to do list that I tend to drown myself in. And now, as I stand on the edge of the biggest pivot I've ever made, he's been showing up. And I think I finally understand why. Welcome to Waves of Change. This is my journey of retiring, relocating, and writing what peace means for me. Because you're never too late and your peace is never too far. When my dad passed, I kept it moving. My siblings and I handled the arrangements, we supported each other, and went back to work. But grief doesn't work on a schedule. It waits, and it weaves itself in between the spaces you thought were safe. And now, almost 2 years later, just as I'm preparing to leave everything I've known, he shows up in my dreams. I'll see him standing in the kitchen smiling, or hear his voice ask his standard question, "You good?" And I wake up knowing that was guidance. That was love still looking out for me. At first, though, I thought those dreams were just my heart missing him. But the more they came, the more I realized they weren't just about grief. They were about guidance. Because sometimes the people who once protected us in the physical still find ways to protect us in the spiritual. And the timing of it all, right as I'm preparing to leap into the unknown, that's not coincidence. That's intuition. Here's the thing about intuition. It rarely shouts. It doesn't need to. It nudges. It repeats itself gently until we finally slow down enough to hear it. For me, it came in dreams, subtle images, the sound of his voice, a peaceful presence, and that intuition. It's been my lifeline lately because there's no manual for starting over at this level, at this age, with this much life behind you. There's no checklist for how do you say goodbye to a version of yourself that held you for decades? How do you walk away from security? How do you trust that what's ahead of you will be worth what you're releasing? But what I've learned is this. Your intuition doesn't always make sense to other people. Shoot, sometimes it won't even make sense to you. And yet, it's worth listening to. Because intuition is ancient. Intuition is inherited. Intuition is divine. Every major decision I've made this season, early retirement, launching for Serenity's sake, preparing to move to Mauritius, started not with strategy, but with a whisper, a sense of knowing that couldn't be explained, but couldn't be ignored either. So if you're waiting for clarity before you act, that's understandable. I get it. But clarity often doesn't show up until after you've made a move. That's why it's called faith. That's why it's called trust. It's less about being sure and more about being willing to feel awkward, willing to be misunderstood, willing to believe you were made for more even when no one else sees the vision. And that's what I'm practicing now. Moving with reverence. Trusting that my dad's spirit isn't just watching, but guiding. And knowing that when I honor my intuition, I'm honoring all the prayers that came before me. And yes, I talk about God a lot. I reference scripture plenty. Sometimes I might get the chapter and verse wrong, but I reference it anyway. Not because I think everyone should believe exactly what I do, but because this is what's real for me. My faith has guided every decision I've made in this journey, especially the ones that looked reckless to the world. I might lose some viewers because of it, and that's okay. Because the people meant for this message will feel it in their bones and maybe even see someone they love show up in their dreams. So today, I'm not here to tell you to move across the world. I'm not here to tell you to launch a business. I'm just here to remind you, grief and joy can live in the same suitcase. You don't have to be healed to move forward. You just have to be honest. And if someone who's passed on has been showing up in your dreams lately, maybe they're reminding you you are more guided than you think. Drop a comment and tell me, what has your intuition been trying to tell you lately? I'd love to hear it. So now, friend, let's take a breath together. Wherever you are, close your eyes if you can. We're going to take a deep breath. Inhale. I am open to inner guidance. Exhale. I release the fear of not knowing. Inhale. I am rooted in peace. Exhale. I trust what's unfolding. Now, friend, picture yourself holding a suitcase. Inside there's joy. Inside there's grief. There's questions. And still, there's space for something new. Let yourself carry it gently. Let yourself feel the weight and realize it's not heavy. It's just life. And you can handle it. Thank you for being here today. If this episode met you in a tender place, share it with someone who might be navigating their own wave of change. Subscribe for more honest conversation about life, transitions, and starting over. And remember, you're never too late, and your peace is never too far. Bye.